Hi, thank you so much for joining me today, and today's video is day 6 for Scraptember 2022, and today's prompt is fussy cutting. So I've taken this paper from Vicki Boutin Fernwood, which I absolutely adore. I love the colours, and these colours work perfectly with the 49 and Market Spectrum Sherbet range. And I've fussy cut the middle panel from the paper. I'm just distressing the edges of that now, and then I'm going to lightly adhere it down to my white cardstock and add some machine stitching down the middle using navy blue cotton. And now that's done, I'm going to start looking through my embellishments to embellish the two photos. So I start off with the chipboard pieces from Spectrum Sherbet 49 and Market. These photos of my children back in 2010, so they were just under 3, and they were helping my dad build the playhouse in the garden. So they both sat at, well, Amelia started by sitting in the wheelbarrow, but of course James didn't want to be left out, so he squeezed in next to her while my dad was pulling up the stone sets from around the edge of the garden and adding them to the wheelbarrow. You can see in that top photo Amelia hanging on to one of the stones. I think she was trying to count them as he passed them to her. So I've chosen a few chipboard pieces there, and now I'm going to go through the frames from the Tidal Wave collection from Spectrum Sherbet. It takes me a little while to choose which ones to go with. I wanted to have one of the beige ones over one of the photos and one of the teal ones over the other photo, but I'm not entirely sure exactly what I want to do. At first I think I want a smaller frame just to focus on a part of the photo, but I really want the full photo to show because I've already cut these down a bit. So you'll see me just faffing about deciding which way to go before I finally settle on it. And now I'm happy with those frames. I'm going on to the ephemera bits from Tidal Wave again, and as you can see I've managed to work my way through an awful lot of these, but there are still some left, and I've also got the laser cut elements mixed in with this because I just had a few pieces left, so I popped those off the sheet. So just having a mess around, choosing anything that might work. And before I go any further here, I decide that it's time to stick those photos to the frames, or rather the frames onto the photos, just so that they don't keep moving. And I know that they're definitely going to be positioned like that on the layout. So just using some of my wet glue to stick this first one down. I have to be careful because the frame is just about the size of the photo, so just adding the glue to the very edge of the frames. You can see it seeping out a little bit there, but it's fine. This bottom one was a little bit more of a problem because the photo's been trimmed just that tiny bit too much. So I added the wet glue at first, but you'll see that on the sides the photo didn't even touch the glue. So I actually go in afterwards with some double-sided adhesive just to make sure it's stuck down properly, so it doesn't keep moving as I move it around the layout. So there we go, there's the double-sided tape. It's amazing how much faffing I can do, moving things around, checking they're in the right position. And then I bring in a set of puffy thickers that I've had for a while, and I want to use the phrase that says "don't grow up." So I'm just checking that I'm happy that that'll go at the bottom before snipping it off the sheet, and then I'll just lay that down. I quite often do this now just to check that I'm happy with positioning. Don't like to commit too quickly. So checking everything else, seeing if there's anything else I want to add. Swapping out that pale blue tag for one that's slightly more teal. And I do love these circle elements. I've nearly used them all up now. But this one says "Forever Together." Because even though they're 15 now, the twins still are very much together a lot of the time. So I thought that was quite nice. So now it's time to start committing. You'll see the slight change in light there. I had to go and have my tea. I came back to it fresh and was happy with how things were, so I start gluing things down now. Starting with this frame and then moving my way round. And most of the pieces are glued flat down onto the page. I wasn't too worried about having too much dimension on this, but this title strip that says "You are absolutely amazing," I did want to mount up onto foam just so that you see the differential between the frame that it's edging onto and that word phrase there. So that just gets popped there. Sticking the arrow on before I stick the frame down because I'm worried that I'll forget to do that. And my memory is shocking now. I quite often forget where I've put things if I don't do it straight away. By the time I'd stuck the frame down, I'm sure I would have forgotten exactly where the arrow went. So I try and stick things together before moving them. And now I'm looking at the layout. I wanted something around the edges of these triangles that are jutting out. I thought about using mixed media, but I'm trying to switch things up a bit. So I've just got a very fine marker pen and I'm just drawing around the edges just to add a little bit of definition. Next it's time to turn my attention to these tags. So I just grab a blue cotton that I've got and thread it between the two tags, and you'll see me struggle because once again I've stuck the tags down before doing this. I really wish that I would learn my lesson and do this before. Mind you, that said, if I'd done it before I wouldn't have been able to string them together, so I don't know what the answer is really, but this second one causes a real problem, and in the end I end up pulling it out so I can get it done. So pull the thread back up to the top of the layout, turn it over and secure it with some double-sided tape, and then when I turn it back over again I see that I have the ideal opportunity to twist it around that "You Are Absolutely Amazing" title, so you'll see me trying to pull the thread off and having to pull the tape off to be able to do that. But I like the way that anchors it there. And now I've started with the thread, I just can't stop, so I grab it again and add a nest of the blue thread underneath that "You Are Absolutely Amazing", and then once that's been adhered down I go for the green thread and add that underneath the bottom right hand corner of that second photo. Next up I want to add some journaling, and the obvious place to me is around the edges of this triangular paper, because I haven't really left a decent spot anywhere else to do it, so I just go right the way round, on the right hand side first and then down the left hand side after that. Once that's done, that completes the layout. Thank you so much for joining me. When you see the close-ups at the very end, you'll see I did add a couple more puffy stickers, a black star to the top right hand side and a little dude one on the bottom right hand corner of that frame with James and Amelia in. Please do check the description box to see everybody else who's joining in on this lovely Scraptember 2022 hop, and I'll see you tomorrow for my next video. Thanks so much. Bye.